Hi, I'm the Busy Bee Mom, and this is our next project, and it's going to be to recover this chair. We're going to take the old upholstery off and put something new on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the old fabric off. Now sometimes you can recover it without taking the old fabric off, but in this case it smells funky. It came out of the attic of a house. It hasn't been used in a long time, and it's dirty and icky, and also with the way it's mounted, it's hard to go over. If it was wrapped around, then I could just wrap the new fabric around, but the way it goes partially down and stops, it's best just to take it off. Also, it's kind of hard and crunchy. I don't know what's in here, so I just want to take this off, see what's under there, start fresh. Okay, right now we need to take all of these what appear to be thumbtacks out, and I'm just using a hammer, but I notice I'm getting a little bit of a white mark. So I need to put this underneath so it doesn't damage the wood at all. So there we go. No white mark. Tack's out. Now I had the first one I pulled. I didn't get the whole tack out. I just got the head without any bottom. So I'm going to have to take something like some needle nose pliers on that one and see if I can't grab it, twist, wiggle, pry. Oh, there we go. So now I have a, well, these are upholstery tacks. They're a little stronger than a thumbtack, but I was going to reuse them, but now that I see how rusty they were, I'm going to have to get something different. I don't want to reuse them. Not with all those rust spots. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go all the way around, pull out all the old upholstery tacks. Okay, I've got all the tacks off all the way around. Now for the fun part, you get to see what's under here. Of course, I already took a peek, but there we go. There's some interesting fabric under here. Two interesting things. Wow, look at the color difference of this. Originally, it was a lot wider than it is now. When I first saw this, I said something to my husband about needing to reupholster it. He said, why? Well, that's why. Ugh. Yuck. That goes straight into the garbage. Disgusting. My goodness, it was like double layered, really thick. Now we have this. What's weird is this is attached here, but there's a row of holes here and then the row of holes where the cream fabric was. So there was another layer at one time attached to this right here. It's kind of sad that it's all the way down here now. I'd rather attach it just to the top, but then I'd have a row of holes. So I'm going to have to go back and cover up this far again. So I'm not done pulling out tacks. I've got a few more to do, it looks like. That's weird. They use big and little ones. Big, small, big. Kind of a hodgepodge. I wonder if there was some trim over this originally to cover that. Who knows? Just a quick FYI, for these really small ones, you can't get under there with a hammer claw. It's too big. Use a pair of pliers like this, and you can usually get under. Sometimes you have to go under the fabric and pry up. Sometimes you can go on top, but these work a lot better for these little ones. That one wasn't very tight, but like this one's really tight, so I'm actually going to go in the fabric and under and lift that all up. And guess what? There's more. There's something else under here still. So I got one more to do. And then we'll have another reveal and see what's under here. Alright, time for our second reveal. I took a teeny peek. I only saw about this much to know there is something under there. So let's see what we've got. Once again, we have a lot of extra of this because they didn't trim it. But oh my goodness. Look what's under here. You know what this is? This is a cushion. There wasn't enough padding on this, so somebody added a cushion. Let me lift you up a little bit so you can see all of this. Oh, now you got a shadow. Okay, so somebody wanted a little more padding, so they added a cushion, and there's some foam here, which is in pretty tough shape. And then we have what looks like just muslin underneath and batting. All right, I'm going to keep digging. We're going to get this down to something solid. I was hoping to find the original upholstery under here, but this is just like some sort of weird pillow. Ugh, that old foam is so dusty. Yuck. Here we go. Okay, so I removed the cushion and the foam, and then there's this, which appears to be muslin with batting and straw batting. And we're just gonna, this is tacked down a little bit in a few places. We're just gonna get rid of this and throw it away also, because this is not what we want in our chair. This is the old batting. It was mixed with, look at that straw. Oh my goodness. All right, this is all going in the garbage. Let's say adios. Okay, we've got the chair down to its bare bones, just wood. I'm going to take a little bit of a break though from working on upholstery to work on the finish, because the top looks good, but if you look at the side here, down here, the finish is gone. So I'm going to ask my husband for some advice, and we're going to be working on that for a little bit. I'm not going to shoot a video on that because woodworking is not my thing, and I don't want people watching it being like, nyeh, 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 nyeh. So anyway, next time I talk to you, hopefully this finish will be fixed and we'll get back to the upholstery work. Okay, we've got the woodworking part of this project done. I've got it cleaned up and refinished the areas that needed, well, the areas that didn't have any finish, we stained dark brown, dark walnut, and then we put a new finish on it, and actually put a little bit of finish on the whole thing, some varnish, so it's all shiny and looks all dark brown now. Anyway, next is the cushion, and I started with a chunk of 2-inch green foam, and what I used to cut it was an electric knife. But you can also just use a regular knife. This is what I've used for years to cut foam. I just got the electric knife. This is the first time I've used it, so you could also use one of these. And I also I beveled that edge just a little bit because I wanted it a little bit more rounder and smoother. And then I layered some quilt batting on top. I have like a small piece, a medium piece, and a large piece. And that gives it just more of a domey, muffiny top, a little bit of a softer than just a hard, smooth, flat. Honestly, my decision about what materials to use was 100% based on scraps I found in my sewing room. So at this point, I haven't purchased anything. And then over that, I decided to put a piece of the cotton batting, because I had some. What I want from this, though, is I want it to extend past this wood edge. I don't want my fabric resting on that wood edge without something in between, because it's going to rub. And this is kind of snaggy with all the chips in it. So I laid this over, and then I could feel where this lip was. You probably can't tell, but there's a lip right there, and then I marked my fabric where those bumps were, and I went around and trimmed it. What I want to show you real quick though is how to do a corner. Sorry. So you're going to take it, and you're going to see how far you can get before you hit that post, and you want to cut it right there up until you get to this back edge. So I cut it all the way to that back corner right along there. And then you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. And you should come out with kind of a square shaped piece of fabric. It's not really precise there. And that way you don't have all that bulk in your corners. Just makes it a lot nicer. So I think we're about done with the cushioning. What I might want to do though is I think I might take a few upholstery tacks and just tack this down where I want it to stay put, because as I'm working with the fabric that I'm going to put over this, as I'm shifting that fabric, I don't want this to shift. I've got all these layers right where I want them, and I want this hanging down about here. So I'm just going to put in a few probably upholstery tacks to hold this down. Oh, and I'm going to sit on it to make sure it's comfy. I sat on it just with the foam, and it seems pretty good. That 2 inches of foam is just enough to cushion it. We also cut a new bottom for it. My husband helped me out with that. We got a nice new piece of plywood that's all one piece and clean. Alright, I've got my cotton batting down, and I've tacked it just in a few places. This was a good reminder to me that I am terrible at hammering. I don't know what my problem is, but this wood seems really hard. Yeah, that's my excuse. So one thing I did though really quick before I tacked this down is I took this and I laid it on my fabric, and then I cut out my fabric with about this much extra all the way around, and that just helped me get my fabric kind of down to size. I'm using a scrap piece of drapery fabric. This was actually on a curtain in our house. Excuse me. Usually I'd go for something a lot thicker for a chair cover, but this chair is going to be more decorative. It's for an elderly friend of mine, and she probably weighs, I don't even know if she weighs 100 pounds sopping wet, so I'm not really concerned that it be too sturdy. And it's polyester, it should wear pretty good. So, got that kind of the general size. It's plenty big, hangs down pretty far all the way around. Some prep work I want to do is I want some strips of, I had some scrap of poster board, so I'm going to use poster board, and I want it to be the size of this. So I'm going to, I cut this, I think I cut it about 3/4. You can buy strips of this at the fabric store, but you have to buy a whole big pack of it. So when I worked at Hancock's, we used to call it a tack strip, and it was a strip of cardboard about this wide, maybe a little thinner, and it actually came with some of these tacks in it. Joann's didn't have that, they just had the cardboard strips, or the tag board, and there were no nails in it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to spend money just on cardboard strips, I can cut my own. So you want to use like a poster board, or a cereal box weight, or even a mat board would probably work. Just don't use corrugated cardboard. And you're going to want enough strips to go for all the sections that you're doing. So I need to cut this and then do that all the way around, have 4 different strips. Don't want to use my fabric scissors on it. I got these big honking things. Alright. Oh, one more thing I want to do is I want to draw a line along here, and that's going to be where the bottom of my fabric is. I want to have a line to guide me. Don't want it to be crooked. At work every day, I stare at a chair across from me that's got upholstery on the back, and it's so crooked. It just drives me nuts. So, I'm not going to be crooked. I'm going to look at where the nails were before. So there's a whole row of nails here, and I'm going to draw a line about where those holes are, because I want to cover those up. And I think I'm going to try using my chalk. Is that going to mark on here? Oh yeah. And that should just wipe off. So I'm going to draw a line somewhere. There's about where they are. So that's about 1 3/4. Whoa, it's slippery. Get myself a nice chalk line. Maybe. Oh yeah, you can see that. This has a little wheel that turns, kind of. And 1 3/4. There, it's turning. Ugh. Well, that was sort of straight. Oh, you know, it covers up the nails on this side, but not the nails on that side. So it was, whoever did it previously did do it straight. All right, let's go for 1 1/2. All right, I'm going to get this figured out, and I'll get my line marked. I'll be back. The line is marked, and I also marked the middle of my chair. Right about there is the middle. And I marked the middle of my fabric. And this is just so when I start to do, because I'm just going to do this side first. I don't want it to be too far over, you know, and then end up not having enough on my sides, overhang. So instead of trying to figure out, where am I at, I just put a mark in the middle. That's going to line up with that mark. We're going to take our cardboard strip. Normally I'd also draw a line on my fabric, a nice straight line, but guess what? My fabric already comes with a nice straight line. So we're going to fold the fabric over the cardboard strip, and I kind of marked the middle of that too. It's right about there. We're going to fold that over. The cardboard just helps give us some stability. It's going to be more of an issue on the sides where it's going to be angled and it's not going to be on a line here. And to hold it, I'm just going to put some paper clips. Now what do I do with the paper clips? I'm sitting on them. Here they are. Just go down along. sure you make sure you don't have that fabric too loose in there. You want it nice and flat. Okay, I've got it all paper clipped all the way along, and I was a little off-centered with my cardboard, so I had to clip it. Actually, I nailed it. Then I put a nail right in the middle. One of these. I got some of these decorative nails. That's actually the only thing I've had to buy so far for this project. And I put one right in the middle. And then I realized that I was a little off-centered for my cardboard, so I just unwrapped this end and cut it off there. And then you're going to take your extra and just kind of fold it up under in there and kind of stuff it. If it was really thick fabric, I'd probably have to get up in there and trim it. But because it's such a thin fabric, it'll be all right just to be folded under. So I went ahead and tacked it in the middle, and I noticed when I hammered it with just my metal tack hammer, it's like a tarnished silver, and where I hit it with a hammer, it's not so tarnished anymore. So I'm going to try putting some duct tape on the end of my hammer and seeing if that helps. They have upholstery hammers that have a plastic head, not a rubber, like a rubber mallet, but actually like a really hard plastic, and I think that's why I don't want to buy another tool just for this little project. So we're going to try that and see if that helps. So you just have to go along and find your line that you drew and tack it down. And how often you want to put the tacks and where you want to put them, that's kind of up to you. What I'll probably do is put one on each end, and then I'll go in the middle of those, and then in the middle of those too. I don't want them like right on top of each other. I don't mind a gap between them. So let's come down to our end here. You can watch me attempt to hammer. Line it up with our yellow line. See if I can push start it. Not really. At least these are nice and long. You can actually hold on to it. Ow. Ah, don't go crooked. Okay. So there's one on the end there. I think in the end it kind of bowed down a little bit. So, and then we're going to go in between these two. You can measure that, or you can just take a strip of paper and be like, okay, from there to there, halfway from there to there is right there. I'm going to put another tack right there. The trick is kind of figure out how far you have to go up to have this lined up with the edge. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, hoping that I'll be okay. Ooh. Alrighty. And then I'm going to go, I think, right in between those two. I think that'll be enough. I don't know. I don't want them, a lot of them. That's what you're going to do on your front side. Good luck. Okay, I've got my front edge done. I might decide later to go back and still put in ones in between, but you know, that doesn't need to be decided right now. So now we're going to go to the opposite side. So we swing this around, find our fabric, and we're going to do the same thing on the back. We're going to draw a line, same distance we did before. Was that 1.5? And then we're going to fold our fabric around a piece of cardboard, and we're going to tack it down. It's going to be a little bit trickier because we'll probably not fall on one of our lines. We'll probably fall somewhere else, but you get the idea. And we're going to tack this one down, and we want to make sure it's kind of pulled. You know what? Oops. I don't think I'm going to be able to use one of these lines because notice how it's curving lower on the sides than in the middle. So we're just going to have to take that cardboard and kind of see where it wants to lay. We're not going to be able to follow one of these because it's too curved. Well, let me get my line marked. Okay, so I've actually got it perched on my feet. I'm using my feet to hold it up so I can work on this edge. And I'm just going along and folding it under. And I'm actually, my line's right here, I'm a little above, but when I push it down there, then it's a little snugger because you want it to be kind of taut. So I just keep going down and pulling this and wrapping it around and seeing, okay, if I pull it kind of snug, am I about to that yellow line? And if the answer is yes, then I'll clip it. I've just been working my way. See, now it wants to dip way down, so I gotta get that up higher. Wrap more of that around there. Tuck all this extra up in under there. Let's see, is that gonna work? Nope, not tight enough. Squeeze more of the, fold more of the fabric up. Fold it back under again. So it's just, you just gotta keep working at it, keep trying it until you get. The problem I'm having is on the ends, I think my cardboard wants to curve down too, which doesn't make any sense because this part is flat. Just keep trying, keep working at it. There, I think now I've got it. A little bit tighter. Anyway, when I have it all smooth and tight and just the way I want it, then I can start tacking it again. Start with the middle, do my two ends. And then in between. That's the back. It'll be fine. Alright, I got the back side done. It's a little wonky, but it's the back side, so it's all good. And we're moving on to the side now. I've already got my line drawn. I gotta tip that up, don't I? I've already got my line drawn and my clothespins in. Clothespins, paper clips. The tricky thing here is I can't pull this very tight because I don't want my center line to get wonky on top. And with this striped fabric, it's going to be really obvious if this line through the middle isn't straight. So we need to pull it snug, but not so much that we're going to disrupt that line. One way to get some of that fullness out is just to run your hand over it. And that kind of helps with that. So, anyway, we're going to line that up with our line, and we're going to go ahead and tack it. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I think this project will be about done. Okay, it's all done. There's the front side, and then the other side. And then, of course, the back. And another side. I had quite a few of these that bent that I had to throw away, and that's okay. That's going to happen, especially when it's really old wood that's hard. I think this is oak, and it's really old oak, so it's really hard. So some of them bent. That's okay. You just got to keep trying to get them through. So that's what I did to reupholster this old rocker. The only thing that I know right now that I would have done different is I got a little bit of a lip here, because remember the foam sat down in, but then this went over, so I have a little bit of a kind of a gap there, and I wish that I had taken a roll of batting or something and put it in there just to get rid of that, but it's fine. For a little extra cushion on the top, I did take an old couch cushion, just an old couch pillow, and I covered it in the same fabric, and I put some straps on it so that when you're sitting on it, you have a little something on your back. So that's it. Thanks for watching.